Hey, it's Hannah, and welcome to my podcast, Our Genuine Connection. During your time here, I hope you let yourself experience what it means to be human, because that's really what life is about. Not long ago, my entire life was flipped upside down. My husband and soulmate Ian, the most joyful, calm, loving human, died in a workplace accident just 6 weeks before we were supposed to be married. And to be honest with you, I don't know what I'm doing. Like almost at all. Ian and I have been sharing our lives online for over 5 years, and I've been creating content for over 7. That part of our life has always been about sharing love, joy, and connection. And now, even as I pivot everything, I want to continue sharing his love, his spirit, and the lessons he taught me. I'm figuring it out as I go, and I hope you'll come along with me. This podcast isn't polished, and it's definitely not about perfection. It's about showing up as we are. It's about walking through life together. It's about living with the lessons Ian taught me and continues to teach me, and carrying forward the love he shares with all of us. So whether you're grieving, healing, or just craving something real, thanks for being here. We're trying to figure this out together. I'm so glad you're here. And I believe Ian's glad I'm here too. Hi lovies, welcome to Our Genuine Connection. This is episode 7, which is so wild. Today we have Stephanie joining us, and I am really looking forward to this conversation. It's going to be really special. I'm going to tell you a bit about Stephanie, and also I guess how I found this amazing woman. I was scrolling on TikTok, and too soon after Ian died, your content came up, but what's too soon? I mean, if it led us to here, then I guess it was perfect timing, but it felt like too soon, and so I kept scrolling, and then slowly but surely, your content became really a beautiful place for me, and so, we connected. I don't know who reached out to who. No, I think, I commented on your stuff, I think.
You
right?
did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I'm just going to read a little blurb about Steph and introduce her to all of you, Stephanie. And then we're going to get into a conversation. We have some of our own questions, and then we have some questions from lovies. So, okay. This is Stephanie. 9 years ago, she lost her husband, Mike, to pancreatic cancer. Just 3 weeks before their wedding, he was diagnosed. And from that moment, her world completely changed. At only 25, she became his caregiver, business partner, and biggest support as they faced an unimaginable reality together for 2.5 years. Okay, I knew that I would cry, but not so soon.
It's okay.
When Mike passed away, thanks, Dolly. When Mike passed away, Stephanie was 27 and had to rebuild her life from the ground up. Over time, she found love again, became a mom, and created a life that honors both the past and the present. She's honest about how grief rewires you, how it never really leaves, but you learn to live alongside it. She shares her story, not because she has all the answers, but because she knows what it's like to have your world fall apart and still find reasons to keep going. So, Steph, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we are going to start with some questions, but do you want to show the picture of Mike first?
Sure.
Okay.
So this is Mike.
Yay.
This was actually on our wedding day when he had his photos taken while I was still getting ready. So it's one of my favorite photos of him. And it was also the photo that we used at his funeral and on the little prayer card. So I love this photo of him because it was right before he was diagnosed, but he doesn't look totally sick there. So it's a great image that captures who he was at that time.
Oh, I love that. He has a calla lily.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Calla lilies. I actually have that saved over there in a little memory box.
That was the wedding flowers that Ian and I were going to have.
Of course it was, because you and I are so connected. And when you said that this was episode 7, that's Mike's number, 7. You can't make this stuff up.
Okay, so we're going to answer questions. Okay. So, basically, I just have to add this. When we talked on the phone for the first time, we talked for 3 hours, and it was so perfect how you described it. It was just this ping pong
Mm-hmm.
game or whatever machine. Yeah, just of like us going off of
Mm-hmm.
everything that the person said. And yeah, it was crazy. So I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, the first question is, can you share a bit about your husband, who he was, what you loved most about him, and what life looked for before the loss? So do you want to talk about before Mike's diagnosis and
Sure.
lead in?
Yeah, so Mike and I met in 2010. I was actually working at a pizza shop while he had his own business. He was a window cleaner. So he knew my boss. He'd come in, he'd clean the windows, and he'd always linger a little extra longer after he was done. And I could tell that maybe he was interested, but in my eyes, I'm like, oh, he's so much older. He has a child. Like, it's just probably not something that I'm interested in right now. And then the more I got to know him, the more I was like, oh, wait, no, there is something here. So we eventually started dating. We were together up until 2013 when he proposed. We moved in together. And then eventually, leading up to our wedding, is when he was diagnosed. But to take it back, yeah, he was oh my gosh, Mike was absolutely in love with me. Like, I don't mean to say this in a way that comes off as like, I'm not even sure what the word is, but like, he was obsessed with me, but I loved it. Like, we just wanted to be together all the time. We were always, talking about our dreams and what we wanted, and like making updates to our home and spending time with his daughter. And we just had so much fun together. We loved to just get in the car and drive and go with no destination in mind. Just pick a hotel, stay there overnight. He was a big softball player, so we had a great community with his softball friends. And he was very sarcastic. He was funny. He was extremely stubborn, and it would have driven a lot of people crazy. But to me, it was like such a solid foundation of like knowing that he was so stubborn. At times, it definitely made us butt heads, but it was a huge part of his personality. And he was an amazing father, which I was so excited to start that life with him and to have kids. And those were part of our dreams that unfortunately didn't end up happening. But yeah.
Thanks for sharing everything. Okay, so question number 2 was kind of the catalyst for like the whole episode of what we could talk about.
Hmm.
So question number 2 is, how do you think losing someone suddenly differs from watching someone battle a long illness? So do you want to expand first?
Sure. Yeah, I think this is a great question. It's not the first time that I've even been asked that, or even in my comments on TikTok or Instagram, people will say, like, I couldn't imagine it being a sudden loss. I couldn't imagine it being a prolonged illness. Like, you always can't imagine until you're actually there, right? So for me, I think there was a lot we were able to do with him being sick for 2.5 years. So we had a lot of tough conversations. We planned things. We literally went to the funeral home, sat down with our friend who was the funeral director, and picked everything out. He was going to be cremated, and what was that going to look like, and what was he going to wear at the wake, and what was the celebration of life going to look at, to every single detail. So we had, and aside from those details, we also had those tough conversations. How do you feel about me dating in the future? How do you feel about me doing XYZ? Like, we could just talk about all of that. And it wasn't having to be crammed into like one day. These were conversations we had for months, if not years. So knowing that I was able to have a lot of those answers, I think really helped me in my grieving process, because if it wasn't for him getting sick, we have never talked about those things. I mean, we're literally about to get married. Who's thinking about what are you going to wear in your casket? Um, Again, raising awareness, conversations we should all be having. But I think about the people like yourself that go through a sudden loss. And I used to think about this question, and I would say, you know, I have it worse. They have it worse. And I think, it's all worse. It's all bad. Like, none of us want any of it to happen. But I think someone who loses someone suddenly, I feel like that would have been a totally different grieving process and journey if that's how Mike had passed.
Yeah, my brain went to, and like has at different points, like went to, thank God it wasn't cancer. Because if it had
Mhm.
been cancer, then both of us would have, gotten stress disorders and illnesses, and it really would have impacted our relationship and changed it so much. And then, not 1 millisecond later, it's like, how is it not cancer? How do we have no time to prepare for
Mhm.
the rest of my life and our life now?
Mhm.
Like, like how? how? So yeah, I think that that's my way of like my brain and our brains in grief and like the chaos trying to have any sort of control or agency. I don't know, the desperation of, but how was it not?
Yeah. I think it's almost like a way of the brain's protecting ourselves. You know, it's putting ourselves in a worse situation than we're already in. And you're thinking, well, at least it's not that bad. But then when you bring yourself back to that present moment, you're like, wait, no, this is still bad. Like, I'm still in
Right.
a bad position and situation, but it's like we're just trying to protect ourselves from, let me think of something a little bit worse so that maybe I can like feel like this isn't as big as a blow. But in the end, it's all hurt. It all hurts. It's all painful. And we don't want to wish that we lost them by cancer or by sudden accident in the end. But when you're put in that
Right.
position, it really, you think of those questions.
Right. Grief is like so many things at once.
Hmm.
I don't know.
And
It's
and
wild.
that's why it's so exhausting because your brain is just like on a spin, like a spin wheel. So you can't even talk sometimes, but like it's like a hamster wheel. Your brain is just constantly running because you're like thinking of all these things and what they ate last, what was the last message, what was the last thing we did together, like all of these things that you're just like, dang, like how am I here? Um, One part that I also think is a big difference. So where I watched Mike fight for 2.5 years, I also saw him decline. So he went from like a big, stocky, 220-pound man down to maybe, I don't even know, 90 pounds at the end. Like, and watching him deteriorate, like literally turning back into the skeleton form is like, that was a big piece of my grief and like trauma in the beginning because he didn't look like the man that he was. And watching him just wither away to nothing and thinking like, God, how did we get here? Like, and I was with him every day, so you don't see those changes day to day. And then even on his last days, I'm looking at him and I'm like, this is not how I want to remember him. And in the beginning, it was a lot of remembering him being sick and in pain and depression and anxiety and just not wanting to be here anymore and just staying because of me and his daughter. And those are, images that I wish I didn't ever have to remember, and that is a big difference between the sudden loss and a not so sudden loss. But I mean, I can imagine with a sudden loss, you could have had a terrible conversation that morning. You could have gotten in a fight. You could have not hugged or kissed that day, or you could have done all of those things. So even within that, you still would have two different types of grieving processes versus we left on a good note, we left on a bad note. Like that, it's so complex.
I wonder, like, and it must differ person to person too, but like the senses
Mm-hmm.
and where our brain goes. And like, of course, sight is so huge. Okay. What were some of the hardest parts of the weeks or months right after your loss?
So for me, Mike passed away in hospice in our home. So he had been on hospice for 3 months until he passed away. And we had his brother who came in from New York that was staying with me. His mom came and stayed. My parents were in town, so wasn't my brother and his wife. And I mean, from the moment he passed, somebody was in the house with me for about a month. And then it got to the point where I was like, I need to just lay on the floor and cry with nobody watching. Like, I don't need an audience anymore. Like, I kind of wanted to be alone, but at the same time, I think that loneliness part of month like 2, 3, 4, 5 were the hardest for me because the dust had settled, everybody had left, people returned to their normal day to day, but I'm still here in a home that is empty, no longer having his daughter there, no longer having him there, no longer, still having to run a business. Like I had to get up and go to work 11 days after he passed. And, I would have gone back sooner, but everyone told me to wait. So not knowing what to do, but having everyone kind of tell me what to do. And ironically, these people are telling you what to do when they aren't even in your shoes. They haven't lived it. They haven't had the loss that you're feeling. And everybody wants to help and be supportive, but nobody really knows what we're doing here. So those months right after 3, 4, 5 were really hard for me. I was doing some things that probably weren't healthy for me, that certainly weren't healthy for me, and just trying to survive in that loneliness. Like, physically being lonely, but like mentally being lonely, like just being so stuck in your headspace and like waiting for the next day to start, but not wanting that day to start.
Can I ask why? Because like when I think about my mom not sleeping over every night, it will be like a gradual process. So it's not going
Mm-hmm.
to be like, okay, she's been here every single night and now she's not sleeping over again or like for however long. So our thing is it'll be like gradual and it's like grief, like it can back up. We can, like, it'll be ongoing and we'll learn as
Mhm.
we go. So was there a reason why, or did anyone ever suggest, if you can think to it, like, oh, maybe let's do it a bit more gradually? Or like for you, it was like exactly what you just said.
Yeah, so like I said, for me, his brother had to go back to work. He had already taken so much time off to be there. And I mean, I could have called my mom. I think I just got to the point where I was like, I want to be alone. Like, I don't want to have to talk to anyone. Like, I kind of felt like a stranger in my own home. Like, I wanted to just be alone in my house. But I also could understand in your situation why you would be more comfortable having your mom there. You know, like I knew it was coming for months, years. As for you, it was so sudden. So I think that also plays another huge difference aside from everything that we talk about on this podcast is that it's going to be different from person to person, but we try to find these things that like make us feel like we can relate to people and like, oh, like yeah, I lost my husband and I'm in the same shoes, but we're kind of still all in different boats, just kind of like rowing alongside each other. So I think you come up with a plan and you go for it, and then also know that plan can change. Like you could be in the moment, this is too much, or you know what, maybe I need a little bit less.
Right. I mean, that's like with everything, right? Whether it's like walking the dogs or getting dressed, like I just, take it as we
Hmm.
go.
It's almost
Try
like
the best we
relearning
can.
from being a child again. Like you're literally
Right.
trying to retrain your brain how to walk, talk, and breathe without your person. It's very similar.
Yeah. That's a that's a great analogy. Yeah. And we're so tired. I saw something today
Mhm.
online about like the reasons as to why you're tired. Um and I've even explained sometimes to friends, and I remember one friend, she said this. So I don't know if I started it or she did. But I literally feel like a little like baby in the NICU, and she's like, I don't know what to do, and like you're so fragile, and like I just wanted to be
Mhm.
like I just I don't know, and I'm scared to touch or and like
Yeah.
that's how I feel sometimes.
Hmm.
Did you ever feel like just this like, ooh, like I don't know,
Yeah.
like so fragile?
And I think I also put my it was almost like outer body experience. Like I would be above myself, looking at myself with the person with me, and them being like, "Oh, they're giving me that look of sadness. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say." And it's like I just want to feel normal. I know this is not normal, but like I don't want to go to the grocery store. Like my husband passed in the same town I've grown up my whole life. So going out and about, people, I just like I always put this narrative in my head that like people are staring, they're watching. Oh my God, it's like she's like an animal at the zoo, and like what is she gonna do next? Like that's how I constantly felt. Whether that was how they felt, I have no idea. But that narrative would follow me around for months, being like, I just want to go somewhere that nobody knows me, that I don't have to talk about it. Like, not that I don't want to talk about him, but I just don't want to talk about, like, how are you? Like, I didn't want to answer that question anymore. Like, I'm so tired of answering, how are you? I'm not good. My husband died. Like, I'm not going to be good for a very long time.
But if you don't ask how I'm doing, hello,
Double-edged sword,
right?
right? Like, and yeah, don't
Yeah.
forget me, but also don't talk to me. Nobody wins.
Yeah. And don't forget my Korean in any way.
Yes. So true.
Yeah. I had a friend came over this morning for a walk. And yeah, she was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "Oh, it's such a loaded question." She was like, "Oh, sorry." And I was like, "No, no, like it's like I really appreciate you asking. Thank you for asking. Yeah, keep asking. People are
Yeah.
listening."
Okay. When it came to people asking me to even do things, like they didn't know, should I text her to see if she wants to come out with us? Like, should we just do the girls? Or will it be too awkward if we invite husbands? Or like, do I keep bothering her? And my answer was always just keep asking. And I may keep saying no, but it's when you stop asking is when it gets scary. And you tend to isolate yourself more because then it's like, no one's thinking of me, but I'm not going to reach out because I'm too vulnerable at this moment. Like, I always tell people, and I tell people, don't stop. And make it simple. Don't be on the phone calling them. Sometimes just send a text message. And if it's every single weekend, just do it. Because one of those, you'll surprise them eventually and say, you know what? Yeah, I do want to go out. And then that comes with its
Right.
own, reasons for you to be like, okay, I am going to go out, but maybe like when you went to dinner the other night, I'm not going to stay the whole time. Like the second I feel like I can't do this, I'm going home. And it takes good people and good supportive friends and family in your life to understand that, like, you just gotta let it flow, because I don't know what I need day to day, never mind minute to minute.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of like at difficult times with someone or a few people in my family. They've been like, "We don't know what you need." And I'm like, "I don't either." Right now in this
Hmm.
moment, like I don't either, you know?
Yeah.
Um
Hmm.
yeah, so yeah. I'm grateful for people in my life who are able to verbalize that in different ways too.
Hmm.
Because like you don't need to know what to do, but communicate, like say that something. Because I don't know what to do either. I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm doing. My husband just died,
Hmm.
you know?
It's true.
Yeah, this whole journey, life, wild. Stephanie, what helped you decide? And okay, we're gonna redo that. What helped you decide that you were ready to date again, and how did you deal with people who didn't agree with your timing? Can we back that up for a sec, though? I know that everybody wants me to get married for a second time and have kids. What was that like for you? I assume everyone also wanted you to get married again and have kids.
Yeah. So while he was sick, we used to have a lot of tough conversations. And in the very beginning, about, gosh, maybe like a couple months after he was diagnosed, we were talking about it. And he was still in that pure anger, shock, disbelief stage that he finally had everything he wanted in life and he was going to now lose it all. And he told me outright, I don't want you to be with anyone else. Like, I don't ever want you to move on or have a family. And I knew in that time, even at the young age of 25, like this isn't the time for that conversation. Like we had just gotten some horrible news and we were going through his treatments that were extremely taxing on his body. And I was like, you know what? We'll revisit this another time. And I didn't bring it up for a long time. And he eventually brought it up a second time when we were much further into this. It may have been even past a year, year and a half. And he said, when I said that the first time, I was angry. But the truth is that I don't want you to not find love again or to find a family or to move forward with your life. Like, I want all those things for you. I don't want you to stay stuck just because I passed. And the truth is, I wanted those things for myself. If he didn't want those things for me, selfishly, I still wanted them. Having his blessing means the world to me because, again, with a sudden loss, like sometimes couples, I mean, I have a lot of people in my comments that joke around, like, oh, I will come back and haunt your ass. I will come back and haunt you. You are not leaving me. You're not finding a new wife, having kids. Like, I will be there every step of the way, haunting you. And I laugh at those because I think when you're in it, you're just like, who wouldn't want happiness again? Like, and why wouldn't you want that for somebody else? So, like I said, I was thankful that he gave me that blessing. And when the time came, I knew like I wasn't not disobeying. I wasn't like dishonoring him, or I didn't feel guilty. Or some people say, did you feel like you were cheating? And I never felt any of that.
Yeah, I've talked about a little bit about like wanting to be a Jewish mama one day and like knowing that I will be. Um, but it feels so weird to talk about getting married for a second time. But yeah, that's like a whole journey in and of itself. And I think really important to talk about because even like knowing that you've gotten married again for a second time and have kids is really important and really important for me to be able to see. Yeah, and it's really important to know, and I just want to like hold space for a second that like wherever you are at in this exact moment and second, like that's okay. And yeah, we don't have to rush anything just because everyone else is saying. Brings me to a point I want to talk about. Someone in my life who I love so much and I know loves me so much, had texted me and said that when I sign off as like Ian and Hannah, it makes them uncomfortable. And it was a great opportunity for me to say, and I'm really glad that I was in this space to be able to say this. I said, I want to ask you, like, why does it make you uncomfortable? Is it because you want me to get married again and have kids? I also would love that for myself. If you ever want me to be in that place to be able to do that, then I need to do what I'm doing right now. And so, I hope that that makes sense to you. And yeah, the response was just loving and great. So that was great. But yeah, I wanted to touch on that because I think it's really important. Like me saying this to myself and everyone else and you reassuring all of us, that like it's okay to honor where you're at right now in whatever that means to you in terms of finding love and more nourishment. Yeah, wherever you're in that journey.
Absolutely. And I think it kind of follows that theme where it was the difference between a sudden loss and a not so sudden loss. And maybe the thought process that I had. So after I lost Mike, I ended up going on a date. And I went on a date 3 weeks after he passed. And I have gotten a lot of crap for this.
I
But
was gonna say, wait, we have to wait for the shock.
yeah, yes. And sometimes I say it out loud and I'm like, dang, that does kind of sound a little bit soon because it is soon. But who makes these soon rules? So then when I get a lot of people commenting with anger about that. And you must not have loved him. Um, you moved on too fast and like a lot of negativity. But if I had waited 7 years, people would say, you're really stuck in the past. You're not doing what you should be doing. You want to find love. Like you're young. You should get married again. Like no matter what, people are going to be on one side of the fence, debating the other side always. And when I explained why I did that, I actually, when he was sick for 2.5 years, I grieved him the day we got the phone call that he was terminal. And I went through those months and years knowing like he is not going to be here forever. And I was literally, it was anticipatory grief. I was grieving every second of him leaving this world. And after he left, and I was so lonely and so sad, I jumped on one of those apps. And I, at the time, was like just looking for someone to hang out with. And then when you think of like going on a date with someone, I mean, you can go out with a friend for dinner. What's the difference? Just because it's called a date, it means we're supposed to like shack up and get married the next day. Like it was just a conversation and a dinner. And I disclosed that I was a widow. The guy did not care. I went to that date. The date was horrible. I'll spare you the details.
Love it.
And I got back in the car and I'm on my way home. And of course, I'm hysterical because I'm like, after being a caregiver for 2.5 years, I lost every single part of me. I lost my identity. I lost, with the physical love piece. I lost, me being the priority between my job and my career. Everything changed. And I didn't know who I was anymore after he passed because my identity was Mike's wife, Mike's caregiver, and that's exactly what I did. So when he was gone and it was just me, I was like, I need someone to take care of me. So I went on the date hoping that I would find some type of connection. But on that car ride home, I realized I'm not looking to replace Mike. I'm just looking to be seen or heard. And I'm not going to find it here. And I didn't go on a couple dates for a long time. And then eventually when I had to start dating again, I went through a lot of bad dates again. And I threw in the towel and said, I'm done for now. And then I ended up organically meeting my husband now, which I truly believe that Mike is the one that put him in my path for that to happen, which has been kind of a reoccurring theme ever since he has passed. There's been things that have happened that I'm like, I swear he is like a puppet master up there, just kind of laying the bricks for me in my life moving forward. So dating is definitely a hot topic. I don't get why people judge so hard because of it. You're not in their shoes. You don't know what they're doing. And I needed to do that, even that early on, to figure out what I was doing. And even if I did continue to date and go on a ton of them and people around me judged it, like, who cares? Like, I needed to find me, and that's exactly what I was doing in that process.
Well, and I think people are so judgmental and like so uncomfortable with it because it's grief, it's love, it's life, it's like anything that's kind of like ooh to talk about because grief is like so ooh to talk about. And then like dating after grief, like ooh, and 3 weeks, like ooh, Yeah. But do you regret ever going on that date that like even when you were driving home from it, did you feel like why did I do that? Like I'm so stupid or like anything like why did I do that? Have you ever felt that about your dating journey or your love after Mike's passing?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I regret it. I do think it needed to happen to kind of get me to where I am today. I did definitely think, why did I do that? For a couple of different reasons. Mainly being like, I wasn't in the headspace for that. And then I got, thrown through the mud when people were like, that's not fair to the person that you were dating. And I said, nope, I disclosed it. And let's be honest, the majority of the people on those apps, we know exactly what they're looking for. And that's not what
Right.
I was looking for. And that's how I really quickly learned that like this isn't the place for me.
Mm.
But I think I stand by it. Would I do it again? Well, let's hope not. Let's hope I don't ever lose another husband.
Right. You won't.
But I don't regret it in any way.
Yeah, I think that you needed to do what you needed to do. Like in every aspect of grief. Like we look at you now, you know? And like also like you're still here. And so like I feel like your story, it has like the happiest ending that this kind of horrible tragedy could have.
Mm-hmm.
If I can say that.
Yeah. I agree.
But that doesn't mean that like I don't know. So like it's really helpful for me. But for other people, if they haven't lost someone and they're scrolling and it's like expanding on why I went on a date or that I went on a date 3 weeks after my husband died,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can understand that. But like, I'm so glad that you are you. Thank you so much for being you because here we are, unfortunately. But I'm so glad that I have you and like that we're
Yeah.
getting to know each other and for this horrible circumstance.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I've connected with a few people over the internet about being a widow, and to me it is just like a full circle moment because it's looking for that type of community that can understand it. And there, I mean, even all of us have such a different story. Like you can't even compare two people together, but we all have a similarities in the fact that we're going through something pretty crappy because we lost our spouse. And connecting with people, I mean, I'm in the States, you're in Canada, like how wild is that? Like totally two different worlds, but like we can come together and have these conversations to help each other. And as much as maybe someone like you that's newly widowed might think, oh gosh, like she's helping me so much, I get just as much out of it from you. I mean, even watching you and hearing like your thought process and where you are day to day, like it brings back memories for me for sure, but it's not like as sad as it used to be. Like now I'm like, I can smile and think, yeah, I did that. And like there are so many
Mm,
people after me that are going to go through the same thing. And like we're just all here to support and love each other however we can.
mm, I love that. Thanks, Mike and Ian. And I
They're
should say
blowing
too,
out right
you're
now.
seriously, your current husband, your second husband, your husband James. Is that
Yes.
okay that I said his name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, just thank you also to James because yeah, that must be an incredible love. I think that grief is so taboo and so many things in life are so taboo that the fact that you're still talking about your first husband and how that's changed you and impacted you is the most beautiful thing. Like to honor Mike and your love and you. Like if this is where you're at right now, oh my gosh, that is so amazing. Somebody commented on a TikTok at some point and said that I don't remember the details, but like their grandparent lost their other grandparent young, never got remarried, and slept with a picture of them on their pillow every single night. And I just thought, how amazing is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, let's say I never get married again and I have kids. How amazing is that? Like, that
Mm-hmm.
I will choose to have Ian as, like wherever we're at. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so important and like deserves
Mm-hmm.
to be honored.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so amazing. Like, your relationship with him while he was alive must have, oh my gosh, like, I mean, I've said this so
Mm-hmm.
many times to you, like, must have just been so incredible that here you are 9 years still talking about Mike,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And
I
that
get
in
that a lot.
turn, and that in turn of still talking about Mike includes helping people like me, helping yourself in ways, helping to honor Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many beautiful things come from still talking about Mike, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Good thing you are. Thank you.
Yeah, I get that a lot. People constantly will jump in my comments and say, like, why you still talk about your husband? Doesn't your new husband get jealous or upset or angry? Or like, how does he feel about that? And I every time I repeat that back to James, I'll say like, "Oh, another person's like questioning like why I'm still talking about Mike." And he's like, "I just don't get it." He's like, "I would never ever say you can't talk about him anymore. Like, that is such a big piece of you. He knew that going into it. And that says so much more about him than it says about, the people that have these thoughts. Like, he is just so respectful and he is so kind. I mean, just the other day, he was helping me dust off his photos and he's like, hey, when's the last time you wiped down Mike? And like, he talks to him all the time. Like, when our dog that Mike and I had together, like, does something like, annoying, he'll be like, oh, gee, thanks, Mike. Like, he talks to him as well. And like, I gosh, if he wasn't the way he was, he wouldn't have been the person for me because I could not have been. I would never have hidden the photos. I mean, there's still photos in my house. I mean, even like there's my James and I wedding photo, and then there's Mike and I, and it doesn't bother him one bit, and I'm so grateful for that.
It's so amazing. Yeah, I can't really imagine ever finding someone who would be okay with who I am, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
never gonna change that.
Yeah, and you shouldn't.
Yeah, I know, but like,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to be Jewish, so I don't know. But anywho, I'll have kids one day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, number 5, Stephanie, you're further along in your grief. What's something that helped you start to feel like you again? That's a broad question.
Yes. It is. It definitely is a broad question. Let's see.
Can I make it a little more precise that like could
Sure.
help people or me? Um, did you struggle at all with hygiene after he died? Or no, it wasn't a shock. You were brushing your teeth the whole time.
Yes. So that's one thing that I did not struggle with. A lot of people were like, "Did you just?" I know. Sorry to break it to you, but a lot of people were like, "Did you just lay in bed all the time?" And no, I didn't, but I think I probably should have in some sense because the way I'm a busybody, like even my husband now, he's like, girl, you need to sit down and relax. Like I'm finding a new project, a new organization thing, like all hours of the day. And I don't know if it's just the way, like my dad's the same way. So maybe it's just like in my genes. But
Mm,
after he passed away, he had a window cleaning business and I had taken over that. And if I didn't go to work, I didn't get paid. So the bills didn't get paid. So I think I just distracted myself, jumped right back into work. And thankfully, because I owned the business, I was able to pick my hours and do what I needed to do to get through that work day. If I needed to take a bunch of breaks, if I needed to call it quits, go in the next day, like I could do that. And I am so, again, grateful for him because in a way, it's like that was set up for me to be successful, not knowing that this would have ever had happened. But if I had to be thrown back into a 9 to 5, I I probably would have moved back in with my parents because I wouldn't have been able to pay my bills. So, and I also, right after he passed away, I got my grief puppy. So I got a little puppy that literally made me get out of bed. Like he was training a baby. I had to get him up in the middle of the night, bring him out to the bathroom 3 or 4 times. I truly think my dogs saved me in that sense because I had to do it. I couldn't let them struggle. So I got up for them. But I think a lot of the times I would just kind of like rush, 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 push it aside, like maybe like hold off on my grief and just try to get things done to distract myself. And I think sometimes even to this day, I have a hard time just sitting and being present and like reflecting and thinking and like getting more in touch with myself. I mean, I've seen you doing that and I'm like, dang, like I need to be more like if I can't do it today, I can't do it today. Why am I putting myself out?
mm.
So yeah, that's kind of where I fall with that one.
Okay, fine. Um, were there things that you had planned or things that you did in terms of like self-care? So like doing a face mask or going on a girls' trip. Was there anything like nice that you planned or even thought about before Mike had passed or after or something that you did?
When he was sick, I had a lot of people trying to get me to do things. Like they wanted me to go out for a spa day, they would schedule something, and I was just not in the place for that. I was like, no, I just want to be by his side. Like I had this like strong connection of needing to be with him 24/7. I was at all 60 treatments that we had in and out of Boston to Dana-Farber for his cancer treatments. I was at every single follow-up. Every single place that he went, I was there too. Like he couldn't get rid of me. um and I didn't do any self-care at all. So nothing. So I think after he passed, I just kind of ran with that and I wasn't taking care of myself still. But one thing that I did do eventually is that he was big on massages, and I finally found a person that I loved, and that is still my like once a month thing that I go do. And it's crazy because every time I'm there, like, I have to be quiet and like be in my own thoughts. And every single time it's just we're like reliving him and I's life together. Sometimes the good, sometimes it's the bad. It's just like it puts me in that space. Like it's almost as if like the music that's being played was the same music that was being played when they came in and did massages in the home when he was on hospice. So it just kind of like it's like the senses. It transports you back. Just like smelling his body wash will instant tears, like going through some of his belongings, instant tears. Like they could be sitting in the box, but the second you pick them up and touch them, it just becomes so real. And you realize, wow, he's not here anymore.
Yeah, I use Ian's body wash. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I've already thought about like when I'll need to replace the soap. Like I'll just
Mm-hmm.
pour the new soap into the other bottle
Yes.
because Ian touched that, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I get that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
still sleep with the blanket that he passed with every single night. The pillow, I still have all of it. I mean, the pillow literally has blood stains on it. And he
Hmm.
wasn't bleeding when he had passed, but, with the different ports and needles and stuff, I just like, I'll never wash it and I'll never get rid of it.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you sleep with his blanket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that brings me comfort, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
then it's like the community thing again, like to know that like you do everything that you do
Oh, yeah.
and you're honoring your grief and that love and Mike still 9 years later,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, is
I still have a lot of his, like his, one of his favorite sweatshirts. Like I always say, if you see me in that sweatshirt, you know that I am going through it because it just feels like a big hug from him.
mm,
I unfortunately did have to wash that one, but I still saved one of his Patriots hats in like a beanie in a plastic bag after he passed, hoping that I could just like preserve his smell. And then one day it started smelling like a plastic bag, and like that was
mm,
grief all over again. It triggered me back into it. It was another piece of him that I lost that I can't bring back, and like just wishing that you could like I could rub his bald head again, if I could smell his cologne like on him, and like all those things that you don't have but like you try to grasp and hold on to after they've gone.
yeah. I think I smelled Ian's cologne bottle last night or 2 nights ago. It's like, yeah, it's so wild talking with you because it's just like, it's like talking to like me in the future. And it's like so
Mm-hmm.
sad. But like, if this is where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at, then like, I'd way rather, talk to you and like know that you've survived and built lots of beauty into your life and into the grief. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because like, this is really unfortunate, really reality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it sucks so much. But this is reality now. So,
Mm-hmm.
thanks for being here, Steph. Sorry that you're
Of
here.
course. No, that's the hardest part is like we're so thankful to be connected, but we hate for the reason why. Like why did they have to leave? Like, and a lot of people just, you get so stuck and caught up in your day that you don't realize that this can happen to anyone. Like none of us are exempt from this in any way, shape, or form. Like, and I think the hardest part about losing somebody young is that it's gonna continue to happen. And this is when I get choked up because I think about all the people in my life that I'm like, I can't go through this again. So that's something that I am constantly working on, and just trying to be present and appreciative of who you have in your life, because unfortunately death is a part of life and it's going to happen to all of us at some point.
Yeah. Um, if there was one thing that you would tell couples um, in relationships now that both the people are alive,
Yeah.
um, and not like to scare them, but
Mm-hmm.
what's one thing that comes to mind if you have, and then I'll share mine after, that you would tell couples.
Yeah. So part of me goes, because I had all that time to plan things, I go right to the like the legal stuff. You know, make sure you have a will, you have a trust, you have things set in place, you have the passwords, you have the account information, you know what to do in case one of you are to pass away. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I my husband won't talk about that. My wife's not interested." And you're not interested until you have no other choice. And then you're like, shoot, like, I don't know how to do anything without them. It's conversations that we don't want to have. People don't like death and dying. And that's why I continue to spread and share a lot of awareness about it, because it's going to happen to all of us. So the biggest gift that you can give to the person that you love is to have those conversations. Know what the other person wants. The last thing you want is when your person passes away to be sitting in a funeral home thinking, did they want to be cremated? Did they want a casket? What song should I play? What would they want to be wearing? And some people might say, I don't care, do whatever you want. But okay, then that's your answer. Like, not knowing it when you're grieving so heavily becomes a much bigger weight that you're like, it literally, like, what's the word? It like just numbs you. It paralyzes you. That's what I was looking for. It just completely paralyzes you and you don't know what to do. So I always say, have those tough conversations. If you have children and you have no will, it's time to start talking about that.
Yeah, definitely. It's so funny. My mind goes to go to therapy. Not even as a couple, but like if anyone's listening, and even you're not in a relationship and you're listening for like whatever reason, learn to know yourself enough so that like you're a safe space. Because if Ian and I hadn't known ourselves and or believed in our love that we were able to give each other because we knew and it was like a continuous kind of loop, I would feel even more unprepared for the thing that I've never felt less prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people have said like Ian left with like all of the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know I'm so lucky because of that, right? Because when you're like, have the conversations. I think that there was a few times or once that I teased Ian and was like, if I ever die, like, good luck. Like, you will never find someone as good as me for you. Like, I'm so cuckoo. I'm like, so good for you. Like, and he's like, yeah, okay. And now he died. But I'm so thankful that we were in the space that we were. And that like I was in the space that I was and that he was in the space that he was. I'm really lucky that I won the birth lottery in terms of all of the support that I could have. But I know that lots of people don't. And I know that so much of that has little to do with us. But we are all worthy of talking and of holding space for ourselves, at least, like if we can start there. So thank you for your short and concise answer. And there's my long one.
That's okay. I'm going to add on to it. What you're doing, I think, is amazing, as hard as it is. And I know you're still in those beginning stages, but I look at you and I'm like, I was talking to James about this and I was telling him about you. And I was saying, like, she doesn't see it right now, but like, this is going to be a massive part of her healing. Because let's face it, we still have to keep going, right? And you're in a way documenting it, you're feeling it, you're not hiding from it, you're being raw and honest and true to yourself. And what you're also doing is you are giving a space for other people to feel that same way. They're seeing you from day one at, this is your rock bottom, and then this is how you're facing it, your day to day. And sometimes just taking a shower is the win for the day, and that is okay. And feeling how you were feeling is 100% valid. Like, everything that you were going through is the way that you need to go through it, right? Because no one can tell you how to do it. This is with you for the rest of your life. As much as we absolutely hate that, we are now carrying this forever. And however you choose to do and deal with that is exactly, I think, the path that, Ian would want you to be on and that you're going to want for yourself. And you'll look back on this one day and say, damn, I did that. Like, I went through something so hard and I did that. And you're going to be able to watch that back. Even with my own TikToks, I look back and I'm like, I've seen growth in myself even just in the past couple of years. And I didn't get on the app until 5 years ago when he had already been gone for 4. So I truly commend what you were doing, because it is hard. And to be vulnerable like that, especially on the internet, because people will judge us no matter what. But just kind of being like, whatever, I don't care what they have to say. Like, I'm here for me and I'm showing up for others that are in the same shoes as I am.
Thank you. A friend said that this morning too, that I'd seen, and like, thank you so much. But like, I've been online for a while, like almost a decade, I think, if it comes down to it. If I Because somebody the other day said, like, I followed you like 10 years ago, or like something like that. It was longer than like the 5 years that I keep saying Ian and I created content for 5, but then I had done it for 7 or whatever. But so thank you. Yeah, no, I find it like so therapeutic. And when I first posted that like scary TikTok like that, I don't know. I don't even like, I don't know where, how, like why I thought to do that. I don't, yeah, I
And
don't know.
even as like a follower and a friend, months from now, if you're still doing this, years, like watching, just like watching that growth, that healthy growth of like feeling and moving through it, because so many people don't, and they isolate themselves, and the trauma does not go away. And that's when other things can develop: anxiety, depression, PSTD, like feeling it and going through it, even though it's so hard, it takes so much strength to do that. So no wonder why you were so exhausted, because this is not easy.
Yeah, thank you. Were you trying to say PTSD?
Yep, and I said it wrong, didn't I?
So good.
Free
So
brain
good.
still.
Yeah. Speaking of,
Yeah. I mean, we always used to joke because Mike had chemo brain. It literally alters your brain chemistry when you're on those medications. So after he passed, excuse me, I ended up with grief brain. So I'm like, thanks for the grief brain, Mike.
he's like, you had to get something if I did.
Yeah, right?
Oh gosh. Okay, we have more questions, but we had a few questions from someone online, so I'm gonna ask those to Steph right now. Did you find you grieved him while he was here too? Did you
Yes.
have feelings of wishing you could have done more, even though I'm sure you did everything you could? How did you accept that he's gone? You said first husband, how did you allow yourself to move on and accept happiness again? So you want to respond to the first one. Did you find that you grieved him while he was still here too? And you talked a bit about anticipatory grief, but lots of people in my comments, so I'm sure in yours too, have spoken about that term. So do you want to share about that at all?
Yeah. So, like I had mentioned before, the day that he got his diagnosis is when I started grieving him. We had known that was most likely what he had, and I don't even think I actually said it. So when he was first diagnosed, he was actually diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and it had already spread to his stomach lining. So we had already known if he were to have had pancreatic cancer, that we were kind of doomed. And we had already known that it had most likely spread because that's where he initially had his symptoms, was from the pain he was feeling in his stomach. So the second we got that phone call saying that it was confirmed to be pancreatic cancer, my grieving started right that day. Like my clock hit like second one, and then it just started going. I knew he wasn't going to be here. I remember him going to a softball game trying to feel normal, and I decided to stay home that night. And when he came back, like I was on the floor, hysterical, like had lost all control of my body, and was just like it literally was as if he had died in that moment. And he was still there, and he came up and he found me, and he picked, like, literally scooped me up like a baby off the floor and like placed me in the bed. And I just like I that was where everything started for me. And it's like a movie scene that lives back in my head, that just keeps going through my head, because like I knew he wasn't going to be here. And I remember every single night laying in bed trying to fathom, okay, he's not going to be here someday. We're going to hope for the best. We're going to pray. We're going to hope that he is the miracle that unfortunately no one really has with pancreatic cancer. And I kept thinking, how am I going to do this when he's gone? And like I would kind of say, no, 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 I don't have to think about that right now. And then when things got worse, I had less time to think about that, and was just like trying to make him as comfortable as I could, as his body literally was shutting down. So I had already grieved him that entire time. There were so many nights that I would go down in my basement after he was sleeping up in our bedroom, and I would scream into a pillow, and I would punch boxes, like acting like a child, like a toddler, because I just didn't know how to, like, I had pent it up everything all day. I tried to keep the face for his daughter and for our families, and I had nothing left. And I would just lose myself in that basement.
Good.
So yes, I would say that I was grieving him. I grieved him a long time before he passed, because I was envisioning a life without him, even though he was still here.
Did you and him ever sit down and like, I know that you had so many difficult conversations. Did you ever sit down, like, was he a crier? Did you ever see him cry? Did you ever just sit down and cry with him?
So there were days that he was not big on showing emotion. I did see him cry a couple times, the day that he was diagnosed, the day that the treatment stopped working, and we knew we were going home on hospice. And then there was a day that, him, I, and his daughter just sat in the living room, all holding each other crying. And he was not one to show emotion really at all. Like, you could see it in his face. Like, he was always had that like unsettled look. Like, and you could tell he was doing a lot of like deep thinking. And sometimes I wish I could have been in his brain. But at the same time, I don't think I could have ever kept going if I knew the thoughts that were truly going through his head. But he wasn't one of those people that was like uplifting and positive, even though, like, sometimes you see those people on social media sharing their cancer journeys and they're so positive and they're hopeful and they're bright, and like that just wasn't him. He was angry from day one to the very end. He didn't understand why this was happening. He didn't understand why he had to leave us. He used to always say, I don't want to leave my girls. So that was definitely tough to watch because I still was trying to keep it all together. But like, when you think about it, my brain wasn't even fully developed. Like, I was 27 when he passed. What is it, like 27 or 28 when our brain develops? Looking back on those times, I think, oh my God, I was just a baby. I was just a tiny little baby that had no idea what was going on, but I was facing like things that people in their 70s and 80s face. They live a long life and then they have to go through these things. And I was doing it so young.
That made me cry because sometimes I tell people that Ian would say, thanks for taking care of his girl. Thanks for taking care of my girl. So when you said that, Mike said that. Like, yet another thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, poor Mike too.
Yeah.
Grief. So hard. And we're not born into a society that even accepts it. Yeah. So it's so hard. They'd also asked, did you have feelings of wishing you could have done more? Though I'm sure you did everything you could. That's a good one also. Sorry, I just want to say, like, if people are listening to this, and they're in Steph's position, also, like, you're doing amazing. In any position, whoever's listening to this, you're doing amazing. Okay, go ahead.
So I can truly, like, with my whole heart say that I feel like I did everything that I could have done. Between, every single visit we went to the doctor, the note taking, the chasing the medications, the dealing with the insurance. Like, I lost myself in those organizational details. Like, that's where I felt like I had my control because I had no control over anything else that was happening. And that was a huge thing that I learned in my life, that we literally think we have control over everything we do in our lives. We don't. And learning that at that time, I was like, well, what can I control? And that was taking care of him. So making sure he had his favorite foods and he was comfortable, and just setting up everything that I could for him, making sure the medications were being administered at the right times. I mean, I learned how to do at-home care. Like, I learned how he had a port for his, if you're not familiar with this, there's a lot of cancer patients will get a port that's put into your chest. It goes right underneath your skin, and then it goes into your vein, and you're able to access it so that they don't have to get a needle poke every time they go to the doctor's office. And they can, do blood draws from there. They can administer medications. They can do IV fluids. I learned how to do that all at home, so we didn't have to go to the hospital. So he used to always call me like the honorary nurse because I didn't actually get a degree, but I was doing things that, nurses would come to the home and do. So I truly think that I did everything that I could. And I don't think I would have done anything differently. We had a small bucket list where we were taking him and doing things, traveling, doing the stuff that he wanted to do before he passed away. And I think that has really helped with my grieving because it's not like I felt like things were left, besides having more life to live, I didn't feel like anything was left undone or unsaid. And I think that's probably not the case for a lot of people. So people always say, like, how did you grieve so well? And I think, I had a sturdy foundation. I had good support. I had good mental stability before he got sick. I had, all the people around me. And then I also had the will to live and keep going. But that is not a recipe that everyone's going to get. Everyone's going to come from a different background and, what they can actually mentally hold, like the capacity that they can take on at that time. And they may not have family members or support systems. They may be having other things going on in the background that, affects their grieving, or they may be running and hiding. They're not doing therapy. Like, I really put a lot of work into myself between having therapy from day one of him being diagnosed to continuing it to after he passed away. having that good support system of friends and family, having the hospital, the resources that they were giving us with the social workers and the doctors and the nurses. Like, we got so close to so many of them. We had a tribe that was rooting for us. We had friends throwing fundraisers for us to help out with the medical costs, and we were in a really good place. But I do feel like I did everything that I could have at that time, given the circumstances.
And do you think that there was ever a time that you didn't feel that? I mean, we all know that you did everything and more. But I'm just wondering, like, because I thought of something while you were speaking, and I thought, like, the control thing, right when Ian died, like, with my mom, like, I was way more snappy, right? And people are like, what does it matter? And it's like, what does it matter? What does it matter that the styrofoam cup or, paper cup is here instead of that? What do you mean, what does it matter? Do you see everyone in my house? Do you know how much my life is completely just, what do you mean it does, what, So that it feels like when you were speaking about the binder and when we talked on the phone, you talked that you would like take it everywhere. Yeah. Also, like, when I listen to you, I'm like, if Ian had been sick, like, that's what it would have been like,
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, I hate that I see so many similarities in us
Mm-hmm.
and like the kindness and like the ways that we like really love our boys
Mm-hmm.
and our dudes. Yeah. But thank you.
It does. Yeah, and just to add, our poor moms, they take the brunt of us sometimes, don't they? I'm sure my mom could attest to that the same way. And they always say, the people that you love the most, that you feel the safest with, unfortunately, get that kind of sharp tongue at times. And I think my mom would say the same thing. But also, they understand that, like, what we're going through is something that is just, it's something that most of them probably have never gone through. And then I mean, recently I asked my mom, I said, what was it like when I was going through that? Like, you're a mom yourself, you have a husband, you've been together for so many years, but now you're watching your daughter get married, get a diagnosis, and then watching everything fall the way that it did. And she was like, my mom had to get some help after as well. Like, watching her baby go through that, like, she's like, it was extremely hard. She's like, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to upset you. I didn't know how to help you. And she just took on that caregiving role, cleaning up, helping with meals, helping with the dog. Like, all of my family pitched in to do that. But when you stop and think about the people that are around us that are, like, helping hold us up, like, they're going through their own sort of trauma in a way, it's
Absolutely.
they're still grieving that person, but then they're also trying to support us. And it's kind of wild when you actually stop and think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. My mom. Oh, mama. It was funny too because we did a podcast episode together, and we'll do more for sure. My mom has lots to say and things that, lots of things that I want her to say.
Mm-hmm.
But but I mean, when did they not? I don't know. When did my mom not take the brunt of whatever was going on in my life? Like, she's my mom. And thankfully she is, and thankfully she's so amazing. Yeah, because I also know that some people will listen and, I'm so sorry if you don't have an amazing mom who takes your crapola, even when I could do better, but this is the best I've got right now, which can also be so painful.
Yeah. Especially if it's different from where you were like before that loss. When you're like, I wasn't like this before. Like, when you're just like, what has happened to me?
Were there, like, okay, when Ian, like, right in the beginning, and still sometimes, like, being touched, I'm such a touchy-feely person, but sometimes it's just, like, not the time. But I'm kind of answering my question as I'm asking it to you. I was going to say, were there, like, times, and then you feel like with, like, time, you just get better at that? I've already gotten better since Ian passed, which is, like, a huge relief because I don't want to be snappy with my parents or people in my life.
Yeah.
But did you have that? Are you able to reflect on that at all?
I think when I was so freshly in it, like 1, 2, 3 months.
After he died or after the diagnosis?
After he died, yeah. I'm trying to remember. It was almost like I just didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to make eye contact with people. I felt awkward in my own skin, and I felt uncomfortable. Going back to what I said before, I felt like I was just like on a front window being watched and stared at. And I think that may have played into a lot of why I tried to seclude a little bit and stay at home and try to even, like, make friends with people that didn't know me and didn't know my past, so that I could just feel normal. Like, I so badly wanted to feel normal, but given the circumstances, nothing I was going through was normal. I was going to say it kind of goes back to being that whole control piece. I wanted control of when I wanted to talk about it and who I wanted to talk about it with. And I didn't want, I mean, because let's be honest, people say the most outrageous things. They think that they're being supportive. I mean, I think it's a few things. They think they're being supportive. They just have no filter. They don't really know. They just don't understand. They've never been through it. They don't know how to support somebody like that. And, you know, when you get the, oh, you're still young, you can still marry again and have kids. It's like, in what reality do you think that that would be an appropriate thing to say to someone that just lost their spouse? Oh, I mean, people in their 60s can remarry, 70s, 80s. I mean, whatever it may be. I don't understand why people get so caught up on you trying to get remarried and to have children and just saying these things that try to make you feel better when in reality it's making you feel worse.
But I was going to say they're trying to make you feel better.
Yeah, and I want to just be like,
Right.
can you just tell me that it absolutely sucks? Because it does. It sucks with what happened, and let's just sit in that. No words need to be exchanged. Just tell me it sucks, and let's just move on. Like, you can't fix me. You don't have to. That's not your role. It's not your place. The only person that can get through this is me. Yes, we can get through it with support from other people, but I have to do the work. I need to find the resources and whatever that may be to help me get through. Nobody else can do that for you. They can help you, but let's be honest. I mean, your mom can spoon feed you, but eventually you got to start feeding yourself, right?
Right.
Like, it's great to take the support when you need it, but then eventually you have to keep doing things on your own and figuring out what works for you. And sometimes what works for you before is not going to be what works for you now.
And sometimes it's even hard to know what works for me in this moment. Yeah.
And you can
that's a
change
good
your
point.
mind, you know? What works now may not work later, and vice versa.
Yeah. How did you accept that he's gone? Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. It's kind of like, I'll never accept that he's gone. It's the reality. It's the truth. It's what it is. I still go days with being like, how is he gone? Like, I'll have a dream about him, and then I wake up the next morning and it's like, oh gosh, I'm still here. Like, why? Like, I know he's physically gone. You know, so much has come since then that I am so grateful for in my life. Like I said, being remarried, having children, new career, pretty much every single aspect of my life pre-Mike has changed since he's been gone, which is also wild to think about because I feel like I am living in two different lifetimes. And, you know, I talk to him all the time. I share him. My daughter knows all about him, and she, oddly enough, has this very strange, strong connection with him. She gets extremely emotional. She tells me all the time that he misses me, and she wants to make cards for him and visit him, and we do a lot of talking about that. But that's what I want her to know and understand, that like death and dying is sad and it's scary, but we can still talk about it and have meaningful conversations because so many people won't do it, and it breaks my heart. Of course we don't want to think about people passing, but like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But accepting that he's gone, I don't think I'll ever truly accept it. I don't think that there's like a silver lining. I don't think that there is a reason. I don't believe it happened for a reason. I think it happened that the way it was supposed to, for whatever, I guess, reason that is, but it was going to happen regardless. It's unfair. I don't think I need to find a reason as to why he passed. You know, trying to justify the family and the life that I have now wouldn't have come if it wasn't for him. It is because of him. You know, he put me on this path. He helped me put my husband James in my life. You know, even the job I have, I wouldn't have my job if it wasn't for him. That was a connection through him. There's just so many things that I'm like, it's just kind of where how the cards are played out, and here we are in this weird twisted way, you know, and now here I am talking to you and trying to help other people and to process this still myself. It's just something that I never thought I would have had to have gone through, and I'm also grateful to have the resources that I have now to help me continue to go through that and heal with all that grief that I've been going through the past couple of years.
Ugh, I'm getting like the TV show That's So Raven, like the into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Yeah, it's so difficult and also like inspirational to speak with you. Yeah, and hear your journey and
Which
everything.
I appreciate that. I mean, hearing that is, it's what fills my cup. It's why I do it. When Mike passed away 9 years ago, there was no TikTok. There wasn't, I mean, Facebook and Instagram, but it wasn't like what it is now. I didn't have a place where I could just go and find a group of other widows to talk to. I went to a lot of, what were they called? Like widow groups at the hospital in the hospice house. And I was the youngest one by 40 years in that room. So I just couldn't relate to the same people. Like I was just in a different phase of my life. And, I went to therapy and that did wonders for me. And trying to find people that were in my shoes was difficult. So I think it's amazing that there is this community here online and that people are sharing about what they're going through and documenting real time what they're facing. And I so wish that I had that back in, years ago.
Well, thanks for being that for me. Yeah,
Of
it's
course.
beautiful. I think that we should wrap things up.
Mm-hmm.
I have so much more to talk about, but my energy, I'm just like,
Yeah, I getcha.
So thank you so much, Steph. You were incredible.
Thank you.
I'm gonna read a love note from Ian, like I do at the end of every podcast episode. So, but first, I'm just gonna hold space, for a second, just to say thank you again, and yeah, thank you and Mike and James, and thank you so much, Steph, for being vulnerable and for talking about your husband. And thank you, Steph and Mike, for building such a solid love that you're helping me through this loss of my solid love. Yeah, so thank you.
Of course.
Okay, lovies. This love note is so cute. Ian wrote it on an envelope, and it says, I love you so much, baby. Have an amazing day. You're going to do great on your test. I just know it, you smarty pants. Love, Ian, XOXO, and a heart. So, love you so much. Thank you so much, doll, for everything. And we'll see you all later. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.